Peterson, and I pastor Faithful Word Baptist Church in Tempe, and I also own a small fire alarm business that operates in several states. And, I don't want to go into the whole story because I only have a few minutes, but, definitely go on YouTube and check it out. I was on the way back from a business trip in San Diego, stopped at a Border Patrol checkpoint. Of course, it was 50 miles from the border, and I was on a highway that goes east and west. But I was stopped at this checkpoint, as I've been through hundreds of times in my travels, and I was asked questions. They wanted to search my vehicle, they wanted me to pop the trunk, and I asserted my Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. To make a long story short, my windows were shattered out. I was tasered repeatedly for a total of about 20 seconds of 50,000 volts, and I was also brutalized and beaten, and I had to get 11 stitches in my head right here. I had bruises all over my body. I didn't resist at all. I literally had my eyes closed and my hands over my face when they attacked me, and just a prolonged, tormenting punishment session went on after that. But, go again, I can't tell the whole story. I spent the night in jail, etc. But I want to talk a little bit about the Bill of Rights just briefly. And what a lot of people don't understand is why the Bill of Rights is so important. Now, the first point I want to make is that, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is not what gives us our rights. According to our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, our rights are endowed to us by our Creator.
That's right.
And that governments are only secured just to help guarantee those rights to us that are already given to us by God.
That's right.
Now, a lot of people don't understand the importance of the Fourth Amendment or the key role that it had in the founding of our country. But the Fourth Amendment, which guarantees us the right to be secure in our person, our property, from unreasonable searches and seizures, and that warrants have to be sworn to under oath, it's crucial to our freedom in America. Now, you may not be a business traveler like I am, but nevertheless, what you need to understand is that just because the Fourth Amendment doesn't affect you personally, if the Fourth Amendment no longer matters in our country, what's to stop the government from encroaching upon your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights? You see, it's a philosophy that our government has that the Bill of Rights does not matter. And so that's across the board, whether we're talking about the Fourth and Fifth Amendment, which my rights were violated at this checkpoint, or whether we're talking about the Second Amendment, the right to keep and to bear arms. And by the way, it's the right to keep and to bear arms.
That's right.
Which bearing means to carry it.
Yep.
And yet there are states across America where you cannot carry a weapon whatsoever. With a license, concealed, unconcealed. California, you cannot carry a weapon in any way, shape, or form. The Eighth Amendment guarantees us the right to be free from cruel and unusual punishments. It says cruel and unusual punishments shall not be inflicted. And yet today, torture is institutionalized by our government. You say, well, it doesn't matter. It's some guy over in some island somewhere that's being tortured by our government. It doesn't affect you today, but tomorrow it will.
Yeah.
Because if the Eighth Amendment doesn't matter today, tomorrow your First Amendment rights won't matter. The freedom of religion won't matter. Freedom of speech won't matter. Freedom to be assembled here like we are today won't matter. And if the Fourth Amendment doesn't matter, we can be searched without a warrant in the name of securing the border. If the Fifth Amendment doesn't matter, I have to answer all these questions about where I'm coming from and where I'm going to law enforcement when I'm totally innocent, going about my business. If the Sixth Amendment doesn't matter, and I don't get a trial by jury in Arizona in a criminal case, then what's next is what we ought to ask ourselves. And that's why we need a third party like the Constitution Party.
That's right.
Because neither the Republicans nor the Democrats are standing up for the Bill of Rights, and they're not representative of what the American people want. The Republican Party, and look, I was born and raised and died in the wool Republican, but I'm going to tell you something. The Republican Party is not the party of freedom and liberty today in 2020. It's a fact. And so I'll just leave you with this one closing thought. The Bible says, now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Perhaps you're a Christian today, perhaps you're not. But if you are a Christian, you ought to be on the front line. You ought to be the vanguard of standing up for freedom and liberty, because the Bible is a book about liberty. And the book of Deuteronomy, where God laid out the governmental structure for His people, is a book of liberty. It's not a book of a totalitarian government. It's a very limited government with very few rules, not governing every phase of people's life. And so thank you very much for the opportunity.